Corey. The stock market continues massive sell-offs in the wake of the downgrading by the U.S. debt by Standard & Poor's, and already the finger-pointing has begun over whose fault the downgrade is. What's being said, and what did the rating agency say? Ben has the reality check.
Well, unless you've been hiding under a very large rock, then you know the credit rating agency Standard & Poor's has downgraded the United States credit rating. Now, two other agencies, Moodys and Fitch, kept the U.S. credit rating at AAA. So why didn't S&P? And who's to blame? Well, first, let's take a look at what some politicians and talking heads have been saying.
This is essentially a Tea Party downgrade. The Tea Party brought us to the brink of a default.
Senator John Kerry and former Governor Howard Dean also used the same term over the weekend, a Tea Party downgrade. So is the Tea Party partly responsible? Well, what does Standard & Poor's say about their decision to lower the U.S. credit rating? The first thing lawmakers could have done is to have raised the debt ceiling in a timely manner so that much of this debate had been avoided to begin with, as it had done 60 or 70 times since 1960 without that much debate. So did the Tea Party members of Congress keep the deal from being done in a timely manner? Well, it may be true. Tea Party members made strong demands over cuts to spending and refused tax increases. And the fighting between Republicans in the House and Democrats in the Senate, well, that brought us to an 11th hour deal. But had a deal been done quickly, would that alone have saved the country's credit rating? Well, it's not likely because the size of the deal was important. S&P had already said they wanted to see at least a $4 trillion deal over the next 10 years. Those same Tea Party members blamed for the fighting, well, they were also fighting for a much larger deal than we ended up with. They wanted to cut much deeper into federal spending and to reform entitlement programs. President Obama also wanted a larger deal that would include tax increases, which Standard & Poor's would have supported as well. Instead, Congress and the President settled on a $2.1 trillion deal over the next decade, which may slow our unsustainable financial situation, but it certainly does not stop it or reverse it.
We didn't need a rating agency to tell us that the gridlock in Washington over the last several months has not been constructive, to say the least.
So here's what you need to know. There's a lot of anger right now over this downgrade, and much of it seems to be aimed at Standard & Poor's for having the audacity to drop our rating to a AA+. But doesn't that seem a lot like shooting the messenger? Few people will admit this is at least a 30-year-old national problem of spending more than we have. Becoming angry at someone who points out that problem seems to be anger that's misplaced, because all S&P really did was point out that credit rating or not, America has to change the way it spends. And that is Reality Check.
If you would like to see Ben's sources for this story, you can find them at the end of the story, which will be posted in the Reality Check section of our website, fox19.com. You can also comment on the story right there on Ben's Facebook page. Just search Ben Swan, WXIX.
And we want to hear your thoughts on the S&P downgrade. You can call the Fox 19 Rant line, 513-655-RANT, 7268. You can also let us know about it on our Facebook page.